what. And then you can start to work on compounding through these other methods in the short term, like either trading or limit orders and LP. So probably a good time to go into that quick. So this is an LP histogram, and if you haven't, go check out Crypto Sloth's LP series on his YouTube channel, because he goes and explains this in great detail, how to read the histogram and to strategize around it. So I'll just give you a brief overview. On the left of the red line is where the price is sitting. On the left of the red line, these white bars represent Ethereum. And on the right of the red line, these white bars represent HEX. The taller the bar, the more units is sitting at that level. So down here, you can see there's not very much Ethereum sitting underneath the price right now. And up here, you can see that there's a ton. It looks like there's a ton of HEX sitting above the price right now. So this means that if a whale was looking to dump, there would be nothing to sell into here on this particular pair. There's just not enough ETH. This is like a half an ETH. Here's a 0.85 of an ETH, a half an ETH, half an ETH, half an ETH, half an ETH. So yeah, I mean, you combine all this up, you might be looking at 60 ETH sitting here, something like that. So if you had like a 10 million HEX sell you wanted to put through, maybe this wouldn't be the place to do it, because you're going to sell into a black hole, and this is going to push the price way out here down a lot farther. So the sellers are kind of what I would call trapped here. But and then conversely, if you're a whale and you want to set the bottom and you're looking to buy, you love looking at all this HEX liquidity here, because you could absorb all of this supply up, millions of HEX. I think there's like probably, I would say that there's probably like 120 million to 150 million EHEX on the market overhead of price right now. And so this particular pool might have like a portion of that, maybe 75, 80 million, maybe 90 million HEX, which is like $500,000 worth of HEX, guys, at this price. So somebody, whale brings in $1 million, they can buy up all these bars of HEX and push the price out to the front. And then it forces the market to reprice where value is at in the market. And so then all of this gets turned into Ethereum. And then those guys either like exit the market and walk away, or they get more HEX, maybe market makers, and they'll put it out here where there's no HEX liquidity yet. And so there's this like give and take of like the market pushing the price up and then pushing it down, pushing it up, pushing it down inside of these, what the market thinks is value. And so you can use this to like not sell when you shouldn't, which is like right now would not be a good time to sell a huge stack of HEX on the Ethereum chain, because you'd be selling into a black hole and you'd be basically giving your coins away for nothing. And that's exactly what we saw here on this wick, was the price got pushed down yesterday morning. And if I zoom into like, let's go to like a daily here. On this candle, it went down 16% lower, and he got way less for his coins. He got 16% left for some of his coins. And maybe that was coming off, like sometimes people just want to exit, and so they'll just like sell anyways, and they'll just get what they can get for it. But that leaves an opportunity for somebody to set in like limit orders down here where they can actually capture these like wick lows. So like on a price chart, if you see like a big wick like this, big wicks like this, you can actually expect the price is going to try and go and eat that wick back up. And you might want to put in limit orders when here's a good example. Big wick down, about a 37% down, and then it got bought right back up because there was people with limit orders sitting in here that pushed the price right back up. And then look, the price did then follow. This is another like trading skill. So to see that wick when it happened and not have any of this data, you could have just thought to yourself, well, maybe this thing's going to go down and fill the gap. And it did, and it bottomed there, and then it went out. So you can do a combination of setting limit orders below that area and just hope to snipe it. And then there's another level to this game that I'll explain in a second with LP. So currently you could say like, oh, where's the best place to buy EHEX? Well, it might be down here, right? Something like that. Because like we said before, the price does like to fill these gaps, which would mean that would correspond with maybe more hex getting put, or sorry, more ETH getting put out here as support, or as the price falls down, more of this hex gets pushed back down in price, and so then it gets overloaded in this zone, which gives the market maker more hex to buy up at a better price the farther that this red line trends to the left, which is down in price for hex. So
do you think too the low liquidity that we've experienced, and maybe we can give it people just a refresher of maybe this time last year or 6 months ago or whatever it is, the big liquidity changes. We talked about this a lot before PulseChain launch, I believe, and just how is that playing into a bullish scenario for Hex, for example, just having the low liquidity kind of feels like the old days where we don't have hundreds of millions of dollars of liquidity. We got like what, 20 million or something like that total, plus or minus
on the ETH side.
On the east side.
Let's see.
Maybe total. I can't remember exactly, but
there's not a lot. So total, there's $2 million in liquidity. But
maybe it's like maybe on both chains is what I'm thinking of.
But yeah, on the other chain, there's a lot more. There's like a few million. Like there's between 5 and 10 million just on the just on Pulse versus DAI, which we can get into that in a second, how orders route over there. But it's because over here, you're just routing through. If you're going to buy and sell Hex over here, you're really routing through two pools. You're either routing through Hex USDC, 0.3% fees, or Hex ETH, 0.3% fees. And in terms of the TVL here, this is what I wanted to show you was we're basically down here at the bare bones bottom in terms of like how much liquidity is on the market. We're back to the same levels we were at in June of 2021 before the big move up to 50 cents later on in that year, which is where liquidity got up in here. And well, now you can see the market's been depressed ever since the SEC crash. It's just people have like taken their liquidity off, and which gives it a lot of upside potential. Because like I said before, all of that liquidity in here, this is only like $400,000, $500,000 of liquidity. And you're talking about an entire market with 100,000 stakers. So, you know, one or two big players can come in and absorb all this supply up. They're just waiting for the right time. And then on the Pulse side, it's a little bit different. If you click on the three dots here and go to the info tab, you can do a little bit more data on like how much Hex liquidity is really out there. And most of it's on V2, so there's a differentiation between V1 and V2. I'll just search for Hex as this loads. Toby says, quit giving away my secrets. I was going to say there's another thing you can do with LP. So if you thought that the market was going to sell off here, I mean, you could put up a wall of liquidity down here. You could put up some Ethereum way below the price, and then you could put limit orders inside of here with using a protocol like Tetra or using a protocol like CowSwap. Come in here and you could set like limit orders. You could have them expire in 7 days, a month, however long, and say like, I want to sell my Hex or my ETH for my Hex at this price, whatever price I want, right? And you can switch here between, do you want to view your value in ETH terms or do you want to value it in Hex terms? That can get tricky because people are used to seeing dollar signs. So like if I do it in dollars, it's like if I want to sell $1,000 for Hex, I'm going to do it at 0.003. Then I would want to maybe go into the Hex USDC pool and set up a liquidity down there so that there's something there for traders to sell into that I can both get and look at. Somebody's already down here between 0.003 and 0.0018 with a brick of liquidity, probably hoping for that very thing to occur, which is for somebody to sell the price down into that liquidity range. And then if the price moves all the way down to here, they can pull that liquidity up, and they got a ton of Hex for between 0.018 and 0.003. And then they can then immediately push the price back up. So there's like different whale games that'll go on or just not even whales. Like this type of stuff can be pulled off with relatively small bags. It's not like fancy art, like only whales can do it. It's just like each one of these bars is only like $100. So that's not a lot of money down here, but there's enough support there that if somebody sold for like 5 grand or 10 grand, and we went through all these Ethereum here sitting here, and then there was nothing left down here, I mean, there's a good chance that it would tap this little bit of liquidity on the USDC pool, and then you could snap up your liquidity when it turned into HEX, and then push the price right back up with just a couple grand back into the Ethereum liquidity up here.
If you were designing the pump of a lifetime and you saw low liquidity, low price, perhaps more favorable macros incoming, is there things that when you look at here, the LP positions and otherwise, that just make you think, what, just one good piece of news, just one thing could just ignite the dynamite in an upward trajectory?
I mean, this is a good setup right here to just absorb all the supply up. Let's look at the stoplight once. Hopefully this works. So there's 172 million EHEX on the books. And if you're wondering why do I use EHEX for all this, it's because all my tools are better for that. So I can show this better and explain it better. But right now there's 171 million HEX on the market total across all the Ethereum pools. So then, all this is representative of this brick here. Like this brick here is part of that 170 million. There is more on the USDC pair that's up around 3 to 5 cents that we all know about, but the majority of it is right here. And in terms of what's immediately accessible, and so yeah, you could just one good bit of news and like this person's the whale could snipe up like 50, 100 million of these things right off the market and try to provide price support at a higher level.
Is that what would happen? Maybe take us through that too. Like what would happen? We get the one piece of news and it's like, SC drops the case, or, Richard makes some appearance, or whatever it is where the market believes it's favorable. And what would be a scenario that would actually make sense? Not like some, crazy moon math thing, but like is there a scenario that's like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff here. People may come in and scoop it up,
Yeah, so this would get scooped up, and this price out here is 0, let's see, 5 zeros and a 6. So the only way I have to do some calculations to figure out where the hell this price is in dollar terms to make sense of it. And so the way you do that is you'd look at HEX Ethereum, and I like to invert the chart so I can see it against it kind of like it's opposite of what you'd think. So here it is, ETH denominated in HEX. So let's see. Oh, let me go back one. What did I say it was? 006? 006.
Yes.
Something up here. So yeah, we'd just basically come back up to where Alex the Whale pumped us to. That's where this liquidity brick is sitting, is between here and here. And so that would all get absorbed, and then you'd want to see some sort of support put in by big Ethereum buy walls put here once that move happened. And then in terms of
sorry, you moved. I was going to say, did you just draw a whale with a green candle going up through its face? That's what it looked like on the chart.
Oh, okay. What was I going to say? So yeah, and just in terms of like, so this is it. I'm looking at a lot of different charts here. I'm looking at that was valued in WETH, but here it is in dollar terms. You could say that this was building out to be like an inverse head and shoulders, which is this is a shoulder, this is a head, this is a shoulder. This shoulder is kind of really reaching down though. It's getting uncomfortably close to like invalidating that theory. But if it does end up playing out, and this is it in terms of downside, this move to here is like on automatic rally, and then if you break the neckline and retest and go, you're looking at a push up toward 2 cents is like kind of where I would see the price going, anywhere between 1.7 and 2 cents, somewhere in here. So we're just waiting for something to spark it and get it going. It was looking really, really good in here for a minute, where we were getting this like positive trend, and we were trying to break above this 111-day moving average, and then somebody came in and just nuked the move, cool. Which is fine, because the longer you spend down here, honestly, the better. Building up, because like, look, we could basically spend the next like quarter just going sideways down here, and then all of a sudden you'll get that move that'll just like shoot off the chart, kind of like what we had here.
So. Yeah, it's one to show people too, the power of liquidity, power of low liquidity even. And yeah, just that one piece of good news that you never know, it could come at any time. And then whales are like, all right, let's deploy, let's buy, let's stop beating this thing down, let's go to the moon type of thing. So liquidity is just always fascinating to me of how that plays into price, not just with bonding and otherwise, but with just again, not much there. Of course, price depressed. TVL goes up when price and everything goes up. More people want to deploy more capital. More people feel comfortable trading it and putting it for sale at a certain point too. But yeah, I think the power of liquidity for HEX right now is very interesting.